So I just want to welcome you all to the Javen Fit interviews. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be interviewing some influential people and some people that I feel like have great fitness stories as to their whole fitness journey, and I think they'll be just motivational people that you might want to hear some input on how they achieve their fitness goals and just their journey in fitness. So today I wanted to start this off by interviewing my favorite client, my mom, Bernadette. I just want to thank you for joining me today for this interview. And I just would like you just to introduce yourself real quick, even though I did a little bit of interview and or a little introduction. And, just tell us just a little bit about yourself.
My name is Bernadette, as Javen mentioned, and we've been working out about maybe 5.5 years. I don't think it's 6 years yet, but I started out with a large amount of weight that I needed to lose, and I worked to meet that goal. Now I'm working on maintenance, and I usually challenge myself with some monthly goals. That I strive for each month. And I keep a workout calendar and I motivate myself by putting down stickers on my calendar just to keep track. And the only person I'm in competition with is myself. I feel that way. And I challenge myself regularly to meet different goals that I set.
Okay, cool. All right, perfect. And really, what I would like to do is just so people can kind of get an insight onto your story. I want to go all the way back to when we first started. Because I think a lot of times people uh, they see themselves in position where they don't know the steps to take, or what's that thing that made you decide to start out on this journey. So if you could take us back to 5 years ago, I believe you gave me a phone call and you told me that you wanted to start training. So just what was going through your mind at the time, and what made you decide to call me up.
Um, let's just say after I've been trying to lose weight for a very long time, all my life, almost I've been overweight. And I had tried different things and with some success here and there, but ultimately I would relapse, for lack of a better word. And I can't really say that initially I was a willing participant, but due to some health issues that was kind of forcing me to get a better lifestyle. I had um, I had asthma, I had high blood pressure, I had sleep apnea, and just a number of things that were going on. I had arthritis developing in my knees. So it was basically I was being forced to live a healthier lifestyle and change my way of eating. It wasn't that I wanted to, because I was had a fear of failure, because I had success and failure so many times in the past that I was reluctant. But I knew I needed to do something, and I needed to start somewhere because of the amount of medications that I was taking, and because my health was, in my opinion, rapidly declining. So that's, but I was kind of forced.
Okay, okay. So you kind of felt like it was just a really like a big time thing. Like you just had to make that decision like right now. Like it was getting to the point where it was just really important to make
Yep.
that decision. Okay, I remember so you called me and I'm like, okay, let's do it. First of all, when you called me, I was really excited because I felt like I could sense the seriousness in your voice, and I really wanted to, no matter what it took, I wanted us to make it happen. You know what I mean? And just work together to start seeing you, begin to get healthier and start to shed some of the weight and stuff that you were carrying. Okay, take me back to the first day that we went in the gym, and I remember it from a different perspective. But I remember you coming into the gym and just kind of you kind of looking around, and it back then it was Fitness 19, one of the old gyms I used to work at, and back then it was really booming at the time that you were coming in. There was a lot of people in the gym at that time. So just take me back to that day, that first day that we met in the gym, and you know, we just kind of first stepped in there with you and stuff like that.
Well, for one thing, I was terribly embarrassed because I saw nobody that looked like me. So that was one thing. And what I mean by that is nobody was too overweight to the degree that I was. And I felt that embarrassed because of my size, but also I was determined at the same time because I knew I couldn't continue to live like I had been living. So I knew that I needed to do something. But because nobody looked like me, it caused a great amount of embarrassment. And people would pass by and sometimes they would say things. But by that time, I felt like I had such a determination that I needed to do something. So the things that they would say didn't bother me as much. They were kind of condescending to the point that, were you pushing me too hard, or was I making you, were you making me do this, and things like that. So sometimes those kind of things would get to me, but also I was determined and I wanted to change. So I just didn't let those things bother me.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I didn't even notice. I guess I remember people saying things, but I never really remember any of that. But I remember just being so committed and invested in us being able to get you where you would like to be in, and to you know, to get you to a better position with your health, that I didn't even notice what people were saying. But I do remember, you know, the look on your face when you walked in, and that you did seem embarrassed. And that is what made me even more determined to help you, like, to make it happen. When I saw that, that was the main thing that motivated me the most out of everything I can remember, is the sense that I felt that you were embarrassed, and I didn't want you to feel like that ever again. And that was the main thing that motivated me. So moving on, I remember we had started up, and you know, I would have you work on the step a lot. I would have you do cardio a lot, and I didn't we focused on your eating at that time, but I just told you some things that I thought you should eat. I didn't say, okay, this is what we're going to eat here, 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 um, you know, or give you like specific advice. But you know, I was telling you some things that I thought you should try and incorporate, and it was just slow. Our drop was slow at first, and we kind of had to stand still. Um, what were you thinking at that point? You know, when it was a little bit hard at the beginning for you to drop the weight.
Um, well, let me go back to a day that we were in the gym first. There was some posters up on the wall, and you said, you're going to be up on one of those posters one day. And I just said, you're right. And we continued to work out. But initially, when I wasn't losing, I just felt like defeated. And then, like, here we go again. And I felt like I had begun to do the right things, but it wasn't working. So I was still discouraged because it wasn't working. But because I had lost weight in the past, I knew it was possible. I just didn't understand why. What was different this time?
Yeah. So and I remember that too. I was you know, but I had kind of been in that position, not with you, but just with other people and myself personally. So I remember we weren't losing as much weight. So I'm like, okay, you know, I think we're doing it one way. And you know, trying to get you to do more cardio. And I feel like you were probably getting healthier on the inside. And but we weren't seeing what we wanted to see on the scale. So I'm like, okay, let's adjust. So then we really started to really buckle down with your diet. And then also the adjustment that I made was we started lifting weights a lot more and a lot heavier. And we really increased the intensity with our weightlifting. And once we started doing that, I started to see your weight drop consistently. You know, we would weigh in pretty much every week to every other week, and your weight really started to drop consistently, 3, 5 pounds, you know, a couple pounds, you know, but pretty much every week. And and I think a lot of times people, they say they want to lose weight, but they only focus on like, okay, well, I'm gonna get on this treadmill, I'm gonna get on this elliptical, and I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna eat less. But in reality, what we did was we really increased your protein and we really started hitting those heavy weights. What were you feeling and what was your mindset as far as, the protein diet that you did, and you pretty much stick to the same thing, but what's your input with the diet that you did and with lifting weights like that?
I didn't mind the weights at all, but what I did mind was giving up some of the things that I love. And one of the things I remember, I don't have a problem eating the same thing all the time. That doesn't bother me. But sometimes I would get a taste for something like, say, spaghetti. And I would say, I don't care what, I'm not giving up my spaghetti. And I would make, because I'm used to just cooking in large volumes, I would make a pot of spaghetti and maybe I would eat it for lunch every day for a week until it ran out, or I would put it in the freezer and then I just wound up taking it out and heating it up. And I like that. But what I had noticed was, as I was trying to lose weight, there were certain things that I needed to give up. That maybe if I had a week where I fixed spaghetti and I ate spaghetti all week, then I wouldn't lose any weight. And so I had to reevaluate what I was eating. And one of the things I found out was pasta, spaghetti sauce, and even ground turkey. If I ate that consistently for a week, if that was what I ate for that whole week, then I did not lose weight. So I had to decide that along the way, there were some things that I needed to give up because I wanted to continue to see progress. So reluctantly at first, I said, well, this week I'm not going to eat no spaghetti, or this week I'm not going to eat ground turkey, to see if that made a difference in my weight loss. And for me, it did. So I had to keep, in a sense, losing things all along the way, but only in a sense because my goal was what was important to me. And not that I could never have it, I just couldn't eat it for a whole week.
Yeah.
So I had to keep adjusting. As I learned how my body would react to eating certain things, I had to keep adjusting.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember that spaghetti from my childhood. Us freezing the spaghetti and we would eat off the spaghetti for it seemed like for months. But no, I know how like to make things like that and have it ready ahead of time. That's funny.
Mhm.
I see, and this thing. So some of these things that, because when I'm thinking of this journey, I'm thinking from my perspective. So I didn't know all of this stuff till now. It's funny to hear, or it's cool to hear. Um, okay, so you start to give up some of those things, and you start to see weight loss. And one thing that I noticed too that's really important for people to understand is everybody's different. You know what I mean? So the things that would make you maybe hold on to weight and not allow you to lose as rapidly as you would like to, somebody else, they might be able to eat those things, or it just
Mhm.
might be it's just different for everybody, the foods that they can and can't eat or like that. So I think that's cool that you said the spaghetti thing. I didn't know that. Okay, so I remember, so we're hitting the weights and we really start to see some progress and see the weight come off. What did you feel? What were you thinking as the weight started to come off and you started to really lose kind of more swiftly, and then you started to see some progress? And what was that whole thing like? Because I think there was, once we started to get it going, there was a period maybe over a year where you lost a lot of weight over the course
Mhm.
of the year. I'm just kind of talk about that time frame and just kind of your feelings about that and all that stuff.
Um, I know I'm not going to get this right, but there's like a quote. It says something like, once you start to see progress, then it becomes an addiction. And I feel like that's what happened for me, is once I saw that I was losing weight. Because when I started, when we started the journey, I was probably wearing 26, 28, and those were tight. So when I started to see my clothes loosen and I started to see that I could drop a size. Initially, it took me a long time to try a different size, but once I started to see that I was actually losing weight, and that it was coming off and it was making a difference in my clothes, it was just like I became so excited that I wanted to continue and I wanted to do whatever I needed to do. But initially it wasn't, once I started to lose the weight, I didn't think about it from a health perspective at that time. At that time, it was just about my clothes getting looser. And that had been years where I was in the same size. So to see that I could finally wear smaller size clothes, that was initially very intriguing. And it wasn't until later that I noticed I'm feeling better. I don't need my sleep apnea machine. My knee doesn't hurt as bad. So it took a while because initially, as I started to work out, the pain in my knee got much worse. But I decided that if I was going to have pain anyway, I might as well have pain for a good thing. And as I continued to work out, though, the pain in my knee got better. But initially, it did not. But I had to have a made up mindset to the point where if I'm going to hurt, I'd rather hurt toward a goal of something better than hurt for the sake of hurting every day. And at top weight, whatever that was, because if you remember, the scale couldn't register my weight at that point.
Right.
So I had to determine that I was going to give it a try. And initially the clothes, I think, were the first thing that I saw the immediate gratification in.
Yeah, like going back to that, I remember the weight, the top weight when we first weighed in, and the scale didn't measure it. But I remember the like the scale and everything, and the motivation behind that. Like I thought it was cool to see you dropping weight so fast. That never was my motivation with you. And I think with most people, it never really is. But just to see you, I could see you growing, like emotionally and like as far as your confidence, it seemed like it was growing by the week. Like I would see you, the fact that you were able to do new things, and you just, and people think of weight as in weights on the scale. But I think when you're in a certain position, as far as like your fitness journey and how you view yourself, the weight is not only on the scale, the weight is emotionally, it's spiritually. You are heavy, not only in the sense of your pounds, but also a sense in your spirit and how you feel about yourself. So and you started to get lighter, not just in the weight, but in your spirit. It was just crazy to see it. And that, for me, was so motivating because I felt like you were the same person, but you were changing. You were like evolving, and that was so cool to see. And another thing for me that was so awesome was you talked about the people's comments at the beginning. Well, I don't even remember those, but I remember all the comments I would get and how happy people would sound genuinely when they would see you, and then they would see me later, but oh, I saw your mom, she's looking great. And then I'd be like, oh, wow, that motivated me more as well. Speak about that. You talked about like people's comments, at first, which could be negative. What were they like as you really started to pick up steam and you really started to lose, and now everybody's seeing the dramatic changes in you?
I remember when we had boot camp and you had us, we would do things like flipping the tire, or we would have to push the weight. I don't remember the name of it, but we would have to push the weight from one end of the gym to the other end of the gym. And initially, I might get a little emotional, but initially I couldn't do it. And I would pick up the weight and I would just walk with it because I couldn't carry it. I couldn't push it because we would have to bend over and push it down to the other end.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
And physically I couldn't do it because I couldn't breathe. But then after I lost the weight, it got to the point where I could do it. And then when we were doing like planks initially I couldn't do it. And then after I had lost so much weight, I had determined in my mind, tonight is the night that I'm a plank tonight. I'm gonna do it. And I had made up in my mind that no matter what, I was at least gonna strive to hold it at least as long as I could. And I did. And I remember just being so proud. It was just like, I did it, I did it, I did it. And I agree with your point when you make was I was not only carrying physical weight, but emotional weight as well. And I remember the day that I was on the treadmill and I kept looking at people and they were jogging on the treadmill. And I said, I believe I could do that. And I just kept watching them every day, day in and day out. And I kept saying, I believe I could jog on the treadmill. I believe I could do that. And so one day I said, I'm going to do it. If I can't only do it just for 5 minutes, I'm just going to do it for 5 minutes. No matter how long I can do it, I'm going to give it a try. But what was holding me back was I kept thinking, how my body going to be looking and how other people going to be looking at me while I'm jogging on the treadmill. But the desire to try was greater than their judgment. So I decided I was just going to give it a try. And if they look, they look. And I did. And at first I did it. And then each week I would say, okay, now last week I did it. Let's say if I did it 5 minutes, I said this week I'm going to do it 10 minutes. And I kept pushing my goal to do it longer. And the whole time I'm doing it, I have a Bible verse that I always claim, and it's, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. And in my mind, I kept saying, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. I can do it. And I would just say, I would do it like a chant. I would say, I can do it. I can do it. I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And that's what I kept quoting in my head as I was jogging on the treadmill, and I would set different goals for myself. And even to this day, I still, when I go to a different level, that's still the verse that I use, because I believe that I can do it through him, not because of me, but I claim him for my strength. And I just quote that in my head as I keep doing it. And often when I choose to increase either my time or my distance, that's what I quote, and that's my strength. And I just keep pulling on that. And that's what I've done for years since I started this to help me get to a higher level.
Wow, yeah, that's incredible. I think that's some people really need to hear too, because I think that a lot of times people are so, they speak negative to themselves when they're working out. Like they see a task and they say, I can't do it. But the fact that your thing was repeating over and over again, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? And that powers you to be able to do it. You know what I mean? And the fact that you say, you know, the verse and Bible verse, I could do all things through Christ. I think you were depending on not only your strength but His strength to carry you through. So I think that's something that people really need to know, is that you can do what you believe you can do. And if you believe that you can do something, then you can do it. If you don't believe you can do it, then you can't do it. And I think the negativity that sometimes people put into their fitness journey, it holds them back. So as we move on, I want to keep moving forward, because now you're evolving, you're doing things that you didn't know that you could do. And I think there was a point where you evolved from the point where, okay, I'm doing stuff that I couldn't do, to when you started to do stuff that other people wanted to do, where people not only were like, wow, I can't believe the progress she made, but now people are saying, wow, I want to do what she's doing. Like, you're doing things that other people are saying, man, I can't do that. When you start to really push yourself and get to the point where you were able to do your race and things like that, how did those things make you feel? You talk about the miles. We've talked before about the miles that you do, you know, every week. How does that make you feel when you do accomplish things that, you know, that other people can't do, or simply won't do because, you know, it might seem like too much?
Um, One of my screensaver on my phone says she believed she could, so she did. And that's something that's really special to me because, as you remember, in classes, when we did boot camp classes, um, on the regular, I would come in last. But I have a mindset that I'm only in competition with myself. And because I started this journey of fitness late in life. And not only that, but because of the challenges that I brought into it with me, because now I'm medication free. And which is huge for me, because when I think of all the medicines that I used to take and now I take nothing. I do take supplements for my joints. But I feel so incredibly good, but I truly believe that I'm challenging myself. I'm not in a race with anybody else. To me, I don't have to be in a race with anybody else, but I find it fulfilling to set a goal in my mind and then meet that goal. So with the race, it's something I have been wanting to do like for the past couple of years. I had said, just like you heard me say, when I saw other people on the treadmill and they were jogging, I was like, I believe I could do that. And that's how I was with the race thing. I thought, I believe I could run a race. I believe I could. And at the same time, I had doubts like, well, what if I run out of breath? Or what if it's too many hills? Or I had all these what ifs. But at the same time, the greater thing that was pulling me was that I believed I could do it. And I had worried about it so much, and then I prayed about it. And when you said you were signing us up for the race, and I just kept praying about it and praying about it, I was just like, Lord, well, what if I don't make it? What if I? And I just felt like he said, well, walk then. If you can't run the whole thing, then walk. But I really wanted to do it. I believed that I could do it. And when I set a goal and I achieve it, it's so fulfilling to me that it's just like, okay, now what next? Because I didn't know I could do that, or I didn't know how I would do it. And I achieved that. So I set another goal for myself. And usually I just keep challenging myself, not always with big goals though. Sometimes it's small goals. And it could be anything from I'm taking it up another level on the elliptical, or I'm taking it up another few minutes on the treadmill. But I just keep setting goals for myself, because I find for me, I work better when I have a goal. It doesn't have to be big. It could just be something small, but I keep challenging myself with the next thing.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Yeah, just to see you do that race, like that was that was one of the best experiences ever. Just to see you cross that finish line, and just to see you do that, and knowing where you started, for me, that was the best. That was the
And I
best.
was shocked that day when I came into the gym and you were just like, I just got the stats from the race, Mom. You won't believe it. And I was like, what? It never even entered my mind and how I did in a race. And when you said that I was 6 out of 13, I was just like, what? I was so amazed. And it made me think about where I started. Who would have ever thought that somebody more than 175 pounds overweight could even come in 6 out of 13 in in their age class? And I was just like, I was so proud of myself, but at the same time so shocked, but still thankful to God for allowing me to be able to do it, because I had never in my wildest dreams imagined. I didn't even think about it. I didn't think about if I would come, how I would place in a race. That had never entered my mind. But to find out, wow, I placed 6 out of 13 people in my age group. It was definitely an amazing time for me to even hear that. How could that even be? You know, in my age and in my age group, and where I had come from, that I could achieve that.
Yeah, I think it's just a testament to see what you could do and what people
Yep.
can do. And I just want to, in closing it out, I just want to say in all the things that you've done and where you come from, at one point, like we said, when you first weighed in over the scale was 350. Then you got to a point where you were weighing less than me. and and you had lost over 175, 185 pounds, 185 pounds. And you got to the point where you ran a 5K. You finished 6 out of 13 in your age group. You dropped how many sizes in clothes did you drop?
Mm. Well, I went from a tight size 28 down to right now I'm between a 10 and a 12, somewhere in there. So
So
it just kind of
dropped,
varies, but somewhere in between there.
wow. So you dropped 16 sizes. That's women's size. I get confused. But you dropped 16 sizes in clothing. All these things that you've been able to do and been able to accomplish, what would you say to the person who's just starting out, or the person who's having a lot of problems, seeing things through? What would you say to them as they try and get something done with their fitness journey?
I would say just start with set a goal, not nothing extreme, just set something basic and get started. For one, just get off the couch, just get started, do something. Don't delay it, just start. And I think it's important to evaluate what works and what doesn't work. If it's not working, get rid of it. Don't just give up. Don't just give up the whole thing, but set smart, small goals and work toward them. See what's working, what doesn't. If you have, like my whole spaghetti thing, if you have issue with that or whatever your issue is, just try it. Like initially I said, I'm just giving this up for 1 week. I'm gonna see if it make a difference. And just start it with small goals and work toward it and be consistent. I think consistency is the main thing. And like my whole calendar thing, that's just something that I do for me, just so I can see that my progress, that I'm staying on track. And whatever that is, if it's a journal, if it's a calendar, just do something to get started. I think that's the main thing, is just get up and do it.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. I think another thing too is that people want it to be easy, and it's simply not easy. And once they see the work, you tell people all the stuff that you do to get to where you are, and once people see all the work that it takes, I think a lot of times they be like, well, I don't think I'm be doing all of that. But I think people just don't realize that it takes a lot of work to change and to get to something that you deem as you can be proud of. That, you know what I'm saying? But would you speak to that just real quick?
Every day by no means is easy, but you just gotta be determined. And I feel like I was at that place where I was determined that this is something that I was gonna do, and I was gonna do it for me. And I think you gotta just decide. I'm kind of driven that I set a plan and I just get going, but you have to decide whatever your plan is. Mine is right now 5 days a week. So if I'm going to work out 5 days a week, it's not going to be easy, but I determine in my mind that I'm going to do it. And I don't try to do the same distance every day. I vary it depending on if I have to work or not. So if it's a day that I have to go to work, I don't try to cover the same miles as the day that I'm off. If it's an off day, then I do more mileage. But you just got to set a goal and go after it and be determined that you're going to do it, and you're going to do it for yourself. I believe that self-care is extremely important, and you got to set it up like you going to work, if that's what you have to do, but be determined to do it every day. You just got to be disciplined. You got to say, I know I don't feel like it today, but I'm going to do it today. So you just got to be disciplined and go for it.
Yep. So you said discipline, consistency. You got to treat it like it's work, and sometimes it is. Well, I just want to say I'm very proud of you, and I just really, really, like I say all the time, you inspire me to, to push further. And it's been incredible to watch you progress from where you were to where you are now. And it's been 5.5 years, you say, or 5 years? How's
Well,
that?
in September, I think is the 6th year. I
Wow.
think September, well, it'll be 6. So right about 5.5.
So, and I think you lost most of your weight in about a year and a half, 2 years, and you've been able to keep it off and then even progress towards new goals. So I think it's amazing that you not only lost the weight, no surgery, no crazy pills, nothing, just a lot
Mhm.
of hard work and consistency. And I think that's amazing because people need to see that they can do that. And some people, even if you have had surgery or anything like that, it's all about the consistency. Some people might need that kickstart, but you were able to do it without it. And I just think that's commendable. And it's amazing that you've been able to keep it up like this far. And like I said, you inspire me. And I think you're an inspiration to so many because they tell me all the time. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me on the first interview ever. Um, it's amazing. I appreciate you doing this, and I appreciate your honesty. I didn't tell you anything to say. I didn't even have any questions ahead of time prepared. We just decided to do it, and you did it. And I just appreciate you doing stuff like that. My crazy things on a whim, and you just did it. I appreciate that, and I think this is going to help a lot of people. And I think it's going to be the beginning of a good thing where we're going to be able to motivate people by hearing people's real stories and real life stories. And everybody's different. And people look at me and be like, well, you're a trainer and all you do is work out all day or whatever. You're crazy, but it's good to hear real people and the struggles and their journey and the things they did to overcome. So thank you again, Mom. I appreciate you. Love you. And hopefully we'll get back to training again soon.
I know. I hope so too. I certainly miss it. And I just want to thank you for even, hey, taking a risk on your mama. I thank you. And it's been a real journey, and I love it, and I love you. And I agree. I hope it inspires somebody.